Call this June 28th, 21 meeting to order. Call roll, please.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers. Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. First item is approval of minutes of the June 14th regular meeting.
I'll move that we
Approve the minutes.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. First item under new business of bill number 2021-45, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Mexico School District to assist in providing additional police services to the school district. Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Your Honor, this is our annual contract with the Mexico School District to provide the school resource officer and a part-time resource officer to the schools to cover the contract and the details for Chief Rocket.
Nothing new. We've asked for no changes. They've asked for no changes in this next contract, so we'll continue to provide the 1.5 school resource officers and maintain the same agreement that we have in the past.
How do they determine, or how do we determine if there needs to be an increase of maybe 2 full-time people, or, do you sit down with the school and discuss that with them and say, where are we?
Certainly.
And are the SRO officers involved in that?
I'm sure they would be. Because we've never asked for an increase since I've been here, so
I just didn't know if they were seeing an increase in business as the resource officers, as things happen at the school or whatever, because I know they split between schools,
Right.
travel and stuff, so I just didn't know how they went about getting that information and seeing where it was, so, okay.
Pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to read bill number 2021-45.
Second.
Briggs.
yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2021-45, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into agreements with the Mexico School District to assist in providing additional police services to the school district. I move for passage of bill number 2021-45.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Bill number 2021-46, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the East Central Drug Task Force. Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Your Honor, this is the annual renewal for this as well. This is agreement with the East Central Drug Task Force, and this is for the activities that we are involved in with our partners to go after the most heavily criminal activities in the drug enterprise. To cover the details of this contract, again, Chief Rocket.
And same as before, nothing new here, no changes to the arrangement that we have with the Drug Task Force, and we're still working with them hand in glove as much as we can.
Questions?
I don't have any questions, but I do want to, you may want to elaborate. I don't know something to say. There's been a lot of talk about, the city being involved, doing more. They're like, oh, there's drugs in Mexico and this and that. But I think it's important that, people understand that as a city, while if we find somebody has drugs, we don't actively, this is how we do this.
Right.
We don't actively have officers. We don't have the
Doing
availability.
nothing but that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always have the opportunity, yes.
Yeah, they have the opportunity, but we don't employ, people are always like, why don't they do, and I'm like, we need more officers. That's why we have the East Central Drug Task Force
We
to do busts.
usually make 60 drug arrests just in the confines of doing business on
Yeah,
a daily
exactly.
basis. So that's a pretty good number, and then we couple that with what the task force does.
60 a year?
I just thought it'd be important for people to understand that they always want to blame the city, and I'm like, we don't run our own little undercover
Yeah,
thing.
right,
That's
right.
what we help.
That's
these
what we
people to do
we help
for.
them do that.
So, yeah.
Certainly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I move for reading of bill number 2021-46.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2021-46, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with the East Central Drug Task Force. I move for passage of bill number 2021-46.
Second.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Other business, staff report, Bird Rides Incorporated proposal. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, the city has been approached by Bird Rides, Inc. to partner, that they would like to provide stand-up scooters in the community. And before we proceeded with any additional agreements or thoughts with them, we wanted council feedback and what your thoughts and whether you wanted to proceed, and certainly any type of rules or conditions or whatever that you may want to apply if you did. So Russell Runge has had the main contact with this company and what they would like to do, and so therefore we'll have him go over the details of what they're proposing and what they've given him at this time, and then we can have a discussion following that.
Evening, Council. Yes, I've spoken with the representative. My questions were, we're a community of 12,000 people. His comments were, well, we're starting to get into that market between 10 and 40,000 that we're not in now. It's changed a different theory on our business plan, so here we are. Staff was contacted, as Bruce mentioned, by Bird Rides Incorporated to partner with the city to provide Bird stand-up electric scooters in the community. The scooters are stand-up electric scooters and are governed by rules applying to bicycles. The scooters are to be ridden on streets, in bike lanes, and bike paths, and are to stay to the right of street lanes and offer the right-of-way to bicycles in bike lanes and on bike paths. Users of stand-up electric scooters must be 18 or older, and violators may be fined consistent with fines for cyclists. Bird Rides, Inc. will provide easily visible contact information, including a toll-free phone number and/or email address on each stand-up electric scooter for members of the public to make relocation requests or to report other issues with devices. The scooters will be made available to rent from 4 a.m. to midnight, and Bird Rides, Inc. will provide materials, videos, signage to promote safe riding and educate riders on rider responsibilities and encourage safe and courteous riding and parking. Bird Rides, Inc. proposal includes the minimum of 50 vehicles at launch and will provide data usage to the city as necessary to assist with monitoring program usage. Staff will prepare the necessary documents following council's guidance if council wishes to consider the proposal from Bird Rides, Inc. Each machine itself has a GPS system on it. You can do what they call a geo-fencing to keep the machines non-working in certain areas. You are to take a photograph of the machine once you park it and send it to Bird so they know that that is in a location where it's supposed to be parked and it's parked appropriately. That's all that I have.
Questions?
In the type-up, it says 50, and then in their proposal, it says 75. Are they starting out with 50?
Starting out with 50.
75?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's successful, I think they'd go up to 75.
If they were talking about the 50 or 75, I was noticing in some of the other articles that we had that showed what they were doing in St. Charles, which St. Charles said that they were a great company to work with, but there are definitely some issues in maintaining and the things that they need to be doing, that it did end up falling back to sometimes public safety being able to issue. The one on Topeka was talking about the graffiti and some of the things of that nature. And I realized that they said on the one, it was about a type of tire that they had that was doing a lot of this tire marks. Would the vehicles that we have be the ones that wouldn't have the tire marks and start, cause the graffiti? Can you tell me?
Devil's in the details. I mean, it's something we would have to work with them
Because I
on.
noticed they were talking about, at this time, it's very difficult to get newer models because of this. There was a lot of stuff about, there was a delay in changing the ones that are,
It sounds to me like it's a little off the wall and probably a little dangerous. To me, it sounds a little dangerous. And but 18 and over, I mean, who's the people who are going to ride? They want to really ride these things? maybe 18 and that, and where are they gonna, I don't know that we need to take action on this, because I really think if they're serious, they might want to come to the council and talk to the council themselves. Because whatever questions we ask you, you're kind of given the responsibility to answer them, address them. I don't know that that's entirely fair or even good business, but I would be a little concerned about people having accidents on them, and then the liability insurance. And I know they wrote, they said here, but I'm not sure it's adequate, it may not be adequate, but I'd like to know I know they may be all in here, and I just need to read it more carefully, but I'm curious, like you, in a town of 12,000 people or less, where they think the need is, and exactly, and we know they're going to be left all over the place, and things are going to be done. So why did they just choose not to come talk to the council themselves, or what did they say exactly?
He didn't indicate that. He said that he would be available if we felt it was necessary for him to. I think
Are they fishing, sort of, for...
Perhaps, to a certain degree. I know that they're looking in several other communities near our size or within that 10 to 40,000 population range right now. I don't know if any of them have actually passed it yet, except maybe one that had a college in that community.
I thought Fulton has.
Okay.
Fulton also has 2 colleges.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we know they've been in Columbia, and we've seen information from Columbia in the news in regards to some issues they've had. So we can certainly get them to come and speak to council first, because with questions, it's important to know everything. The thing that we've also seen from some of the agreements that's out there is that they sent us basically a memorandum of understanding here, which was pretty basic. There's a lot of other communities that have gone a lot further, and one of the points you made here about the liability, of only $1 million, and there are other communities that have raised that, and as they talked about, they set the parameters in regards to where they could go and couldn't go, and those kinds of things as well. So we can certainly have them come before you and answer questions before you make any decisions. I think what they were doing is testing the water a little bit first to say even if you want to consider it, because if you weren't even interested, then why bother even further? So we can do whatever your direction is, council.
Well, I'm going to put my 2 cents in is, my dad was up, my parents were here from Atlanta. My dad's office was right by Georgia Tech. They have these, and as soon as I said we were talking about it, he was like, don't do it. He's like, they're all over the place. They leave them everywhere. So that's his 2 cents. But then that was funny, because that night I got this very article. I didn't open the packet until that night. But there's that, and B, I don't know how a scooter that only does a few miles an hour, somehow we think that's going to be safer than a golf cart.
Yeah.
We don't want golf carts, but we think this will be safer than a golf cart. I don't think so. And 3, I actually ride my bike around town. Everybody knows this. We don't have bike paths. We don't have bike lanes. Our sidewalks are not great. I can attest to that. And we are, I'm not going to say I get a lot of problems, but I do have issues riding my bike around town. People are not, they want you out of the way. We're just not that community. So they'd have to go a long way for me to even consider it. And I think before I'd even consider it, you'd have to consider golf carts, because I think that's definitely safer. We say this is safe. Golf carts are definitely safer than that.
Russell, I think if they want to come talk to the council, this is my opinion, but if they want to come talk to council, they probably need to come themselves, and you might relate to them that maybe we have lots of questions and big concerns about whatever they want to do.
Okay. I can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is appointment to the Mexico Audrain Library Board. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Bob Fenlon's term will expire July 1st, and Mr. Fenlon has served 3 terms, which therefore makes him ineligible to serve an additional term right now. So you do have 3 applicants, and council, this is your decision in regards to the applicants. Whichever one you would like to consider for appointment, you have their applications in front of you.
And they're all good.
And they're all very good. And we need to thank Bob Fenlon for his service. He certainly is a dedicated public service to Mexico and time on the library board. But
It's your all's pleasure. Hard to decide.
It's tough when it's so easy because most of the time we don't even get
don't have any.
enough applicants. And it's funny, the library board, because you think library is kind of the downward thing. Everybody's going online and we get the most interest from that. So,
I think that,
and they're all 3 good apps. So,
yeah, and I think it attests to our library,
yeah,
that people are using it and want to be a part of what's moving it forward.
I know 2 of them. I don't know the third one.
I know the first 2.
I know the first 2. Probably know the same 2. But my question is, I'm not in the third one was out in the rural area. Right? Does he live in? Do you know?
Yes.
He said
I mean, he's within the Audrain County District, but does he still live?
he lives in Mexico.
He's in the city limits now.
City limits.
Yeah. He came up in the city a couple years back, I think.
And the same, I think, for Ms. Wagner.
Right, and I know Sue, and I know the 2 of them really well. Unless somebody else wants to, I'll nominate Sue Wachter.
I'll second it.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes. Next item is payment of the claims.
Make a motion to pay the bills?
Second.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes. Next item of council comments. Mr. Haig.
4th of July weekend's going to be coming up, so just be safe. Enjoy the holiday. Hopefully, we don't have to start building our boats yet, but we get quite a bit ready. So hopefully, we'll dry out a little bit, but don't complain too much. So that's it.
I want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July. I know that we have somebody in the audience tonight that's going to talk about a situation on Ruth. I went there. I'm just going to go say it now because they can talk and tell whatever. And I know that they said that Drew's been out there to look at, and we've talked about, who's legally liable. I'm just going to put my 2 cents in on it, is that they're willing to work with the city, and to just throw our hands up at them. It just seems like every time we've done that in the past with water issues in this community, we end up getting a lawyer like Randy Owens involved, and we end up paying it, and we make enemies. And if we have somebody that's willing to say, we'll work with you, I think we should consider it. So, it's on Bruce. She's going to talk after. So.
Say, we're lost at what
We
you're
don't know
talking
what
about.
you're talking about.
Yeah. She's going to talk
Ms.
after,
Briggs.
but I didn't want to talk after her, because that's not how it works. So.
Mrs. Briggs.
No, I was gonna, what about it?
That's all I have.
I just didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Oh, my turn.
Your turn.
Okay. Well, first of all, I see that the Aquatic Center's been extraordinarily busy, and more than maybe we anticipated, so that's a good thing. And I just want to wish everybody a happy 4th and a safe 4th, and it's nice to be away from the pandemic and maybe enjoy our families. Anyway.
Dr. Shivers.
Well, like everyone else, happy 4th, and also we had another holiday, Juneteenth. Appreciate all the support that we had even this year with it, and looking for some bigger things with that as well. Stay safe and loving this rain.
Mr. Slagle.
Yes, I think the important thing would be with the Independence Day holiday, there are a couple of fireworks shows that are planned. And I think the important thing would be is to say, please pay attention to additional announcements that may come, because with the amount of rain, some of those plans may get altered, because one of them, was going to have some food trucks and different things like that in Garfield Park. Well, Garfield Park is so wet that you're not going to put them in there. So they're going to have to maybe make some adjustments. And so parking and some of those things where you've been able to do things in the past, as far as for people to, spectators of these events, a lot of that could change based on the conditions. So I would say please pay attention to those announcements from those folks that are making those.
Sure.
Can I ask you a question? I saw the memo that went out on Facebook tonight with Mexico Public Safety for parking for the Tai Lu. Are we going to allow on AP Green property like they have in the past, or no?
There will be some available there. They're trying to make arrangements to how they fire them, and so, again, there'll be some opportunities for parking there, but I know some of it they've allowed on the grass stuff, which that's not going to happen as much rain is, so we have to, it's going to be more probably limited than it has been before to stay on the hard surfaces.
I just saw they didn't say anything in that memo, and I was sort of about to ask.
So I think it's kind of a wait and see yet.
Okay, thank you.
Well, as everybody said, happy 3rd and 4th. We've got two shows coming up. It ought to be exciting. And I hope they all go off without a hitch. And I hope all that was planned gets to happen, but we need to have the rain stop. Or, as Mr. Haig said, we have to shoot those fireworks off out of a boat. Something like that.
An arc.
An arc.
Be like a real 4th of July. Bombs bursting in the air.
At this time, we'll take public comments. If you have a public comment you'd like to make, you please come to the podium, state your name and address, and hold your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Hi, I'm Linda Reed. Used to be on the council at one time, 901 Ruth Court. And I am here to talk about what Chris Williams just mentioned. A house at 900 Ruth Court. My friend Tom McBride and myself bought this house to help a lady out that wanted to go into a retirement home. The problem is with the house, it's got drainage from the city street, Ruth Court, Virginia Court, and Fairsight that all drain into her backyard. It drains on 3 sides, in the backyard, on 2 sides. And it floods. And I'm not talking about just what happened, because of course everybody flooded. Every time it can rain a 1/4 inch, you have flooding back there. I have some pictures. Can I bring them forward and let you all look at them?
Sure.
I'm sorry it came out with stripes, but this is the big pipe in the middle of the lady's, my backyard now. And this is the water draining from the pipe, and this is water draining down the back and emptying into Singleton Street. So, pass those over. And Mr. McBride came up here and he has talked to Mr. Russell and Rita, and then I think it ended up with Drew. And so we're asking for some help to try to fix this, because you're dumping water into private property from the city, from the streets. So that's what I'm here for, asking for help.
Okay, we appreciate you asking, and we'll look into it, pass the pictures along, see what happens.
So you'll look into it?
Have we already looked into it, Drew? Or Kenzie?
I've done some research, background research. I've not been able to, between the rain and other things, get it collated yet. But we do have some background that we were putting together on it. I'd be glad to share that with everybody.
Okay. So we are looking at it, and we'll look at it a little further. We thank you,
Okay.
Linda.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Tiffany Watson, 2810 Greenridge Court. I was here 2 weeks ago, and I think everybody probably remembers, but I'll bring you up to speed just in case. I am...
Court case?
No.
Okay.
I have a question regarding what I asked about last time. If there is going to be anything done about the treatment of the citizens of Mexico by the city employees. I believe, pretty close to anyway, your exact words last time were that you would look into it, and I'm wondering if that has happened within the past 2 weeks.
Do y'all have anything to say about our employees and what they said or didn't say?
I think it would be inappropriate for me to say anything about an employee as far as, discipline matters or anything regarding that in a public meeting.
Okay.
So, I mean, I honestly was not necessarily asking about what he has done. I'm asking about what, maybe I should ask, so is there any way that I can make a complaint other than coming to you guys? So, I mean, are you guys like the boss of... Okay,
We oversee.
We just oversee.
So who oversees the highest up person in Mexico?
Mr. Slagle.
Who oversees
We
Mr.
do.
Slagle? Okay, so I am coming to you here, and this is the only way I know how to do that. Is there a way that I should be approaching this differently if I have a complaint about Mr. Slagle?
I suppose you could address a letter to me as mayor about Mr. Slagle, and we can pass it along to the council.
Okay, and so how would I get that information? Is anyone going, whenever I write this letter, how will I be contacted about an outcome?
I'm not sure that we really have an outcome. I mean, we will take the letter under advisement and look it over and try to figure out what has happened. We don't know anything yet. You're asking us to make determinations with no information.
Right,
Other
well-
than what you said. So
Right,
when you send the letter, we'll read it. I'll pass it along to the council. Send the letter to the city clerk. She'll forward it on to me.
Okay,
and
so
I'll forward
I
it on to
offered
the-
information last time, and that was the end of it. You said you would look into it, so that hasn't happened then?
We don't really accept information as a council. We just review what happens with the city.
Gotcha. So, I mean, I'm just wondering why I was told last time that it would be looked into if everybody
Maybe
knew
it
it
has
wasn't going to
been.
happen.
Maybe it has been. But as a council, we don't come here and look at our employees as a council.
So who does that?
Mr. Slagle,
Who looks at Mr. Slagle?
we do.
Okay.
We don't have a complaint with Mr. Slagle at this time. We have
So
no,
if I write that complaint, then...
We'll
you
review
will
it.
Review that. Okay.
doesn't mean that we'll take action against him, but
Sure.
we'll certainly review it.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Will Johnson, 1315 Rosewood Street, here in Mexico. So, last time I was here, I asked you guys some questions about AP Green and see if anyone possibly came up with the numbers that I was asking for.
Such as?
Total taxpayer liability at this point.
I believe I gave you a number last time, a round number. I don't have the exact number, but it's somewhere around 1.2 million.
What, as we've already stated, and we'll say it again, that the city had NID bonds on the property, and at the time of foreclosure was $1,120,000. And that is, either we had a choice at that time to walk away from that, as far as just let it go, and/or do what we could to collect it. and that's what we've done to that point. Now, since then, of course, as council is aware, that we've had additional costs in securing the site from employees working from fixing fence to posting signs to stormwater issues, a couple of sewer issues that had to be dealt with, and so on. And then council again did an agreement to finish up the Brownfield EPA study last week, or the last meeting. And that cost, I want to say, was $9,700 for that contract. And there will be some DNR fees that when we file that. Those are the costs that we have at this point. I think we've been clear that we never wanted to own this site. It was about job growth and job creation, but we also had to protect an investment, and are doing everything we can to prepare the site and move it on for sale, and hopefully recover as much of those dollars as we can.
Okay. What was the total price tag on securing the site?
At this point, I don't have that number, and I don't know that we would really have an exact number on that, because, again, we used employees to do most of that work, so it wouldn't have been an out-of-pocket cost.
Okay, I'm curious, what was the sale on the courthouse step? The sheriff's sale?
That, as part of a legal process that you follow, is that you bid in part of the judgment that you received against them in order to secure the property. So anybody could have bid on the property, okay? What we bid back in was $300,000, which comes off our judgment. We received a judgment against the company for, I want to say, $2.4 million or whatever. And so our judgment then gets reduced by that amount. It was never a cash deal. There was no money that changed hands. It was, so that comes off the judgment amount, which we still have a judgment then against the previous owner for $2.1 million.
Okay. Is the city of Mexico currently following that down to ensure that the taxpayers aren't handed that debt?
What debt?
The tax debt from the prior owners, the ones that allowed you to foreclose on the property at all.
I don't follow that.
I'm not following it.
You said that you had, there was the bonds that were on it?
Oh, we have, the NIB bonds blown, I mean, we inherited those back when we bought the property back. The reason we bought the property back is because we have a couple of good renters there, one being Harbison Walker, who their rent is considerable, and the other is a cell tower. And those dollars can probably pay near half or more.
They, based on our bond payment, we're right at break even with what their payments are to us versus the bond payments.
So it'd be 2.1 million, and what it'll be finalized as?
No, not
1.1.
What is it?
1.1.
1.1?
Right, and the bond payments that we have annually on that, their lease payments are awful close to paying that back.
So approximately months, years, how long would it take for that to break even?
Again, I'm not understanding the question, but the money we receive from the lease payments annually are making the annual debt payment.
Yes.
So we're not pulling anything from anything else to make that payment.
Of course.
Okay.
And you guys said it was close to becoming where nothing was owed at all, and you guys would have the property free and clear?
Nothing on an annual basis.
Nothing on an annual basis. How are we, a year out, 2 years out?
From having the bonds paid, is that what you're saying? There is approximately 10 years left on those bonds.
So 10 years. Okay. Then I noticed a few things on our city council meeting notes. Is the city council no longer under COVID restrictions for, I didn't see the big red notice at the top.
We're not. No. We're not still under COVID restrictions.
You see, it's been completely, more people could come join the city council meeting.
Right. Oh, yeah, it's been open for a while.
Okay. All right. And then I know, as you guys keep bringing up the aquatic center, I live nearby. I'm right down the street from it, so I drive by it to and from work every day. I mean, it looks nice. I had a couple questions about it. What's its daily average for people going through? And how many days a week is it open?
Chad?
It's open 7 days a week. Obviously, on a rainy day, we're closed. There's no attendance. I want to say that our average day when we're open has been somewhere in the neighborhood of 360. And that's a guess. If you can send me an email, or if you want me to contact you, give me your information, I'll get you an exact number and give it to you.
All right, I appreciate it. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Next item will be adjournment.
Was there anybody else?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Run up this lady.
This is one. There isn't any other one.
Come on. Second.
To adjourn. Got a second?
Gray?
Yes.
Shivers?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Hay?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.